Hey everybody, so as you saw in a recent video, I got a screw in my tyre. This video is going to be sorting that out, and unfortunately, it's not as easy as that. So this video is going to go one of two ways. Either I am going to manage to do this myself at home, or I'm going to end up having to take the wheel down to a garage and having them just switch the tube over. I'd prefer to do it myself and save some money. However, unfortunately, I don't own tyre irons. Thankfully, because this is a tube tyre, I don't need to replace my tyre or even plug it. I'm going to seal it to stop moisture getting in, but I don't actually need to do anything other than that. Or at least I'm happy to not do anything other than that. This is not a how-to, this is a how I'm doing it. I know with this bike it is just 10 times easier to just take all this off now. With a deflated tyre it actually won't be difficult to get it off, but when it's inflated it will be, and I'll end up taking this off anyway. And this is a good example of when taking something apart fully will actually save you time in the long run, even though it seems like it's taking you longer in the short run. But you'll learn what jobs you can and can't do over time. Come on. Come on. Out you come. Good tip is to put the spacers back on the axle, and that way you won't confuse which way round they were supposed to go. On some bikes these will be different sizes. And I'm just popping it back through there so I can hold the caliper in the air and the brake hose isn't being kinked for a couple of hours. If you're wondering why I'm not out riding today, hang on a minute. It's fixed. Maybe the elves came in here last night. No. Yeah, it is fixed because, as I thought, this video could go one of two ways. Either I was going to manage to get this tyre off the rim, which I didn't. Yes, I do know about using another motorcycle as like a with the side stand to try and break the bead, but there is two reasons why that wasn't going to work out for me. One, because the DRZ is at the front of the garage with the back wheel off, I can't move it, and I didn't have space to get my XJ6, which is just here, out. And to lean this bike over enough to get the side stand up in the air enough to get it on here would have required me, well, basically the sides. These sides were in the way, these wooden cabinets. So ridiculous. And I was like, right, so I can't get it out of the garage, I can't lean it sideways, and I can't, yeah. The other thing is I wanted to patch the hole on the inside of this tyre, and the only way I was going to be able to break the bead here was to just break the bead in. And then trying to get my hand inside to fix that would have been a proper pain in the butt. So all that hassle, or 10 quid for my local garage to do it for me. Yeah, you know what I did. Took a couple of days, and it's been about 5 days since I filmed the first bit of this video, but it is now done. Because there's been that gap, I actually want to talk a little bit about the Tyreweld that I used, and something a few people have said. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I thought, why don't I talk about that while I'm putting the rear wheel back on. And you can see me swearing as you try and put a wheel with two spacers and all the other bits together on by yourself. Come on then, let's fix it. Please allow me just 2 moments to open some parcels that have been sent to my PO box. This is probably one of the last times this will ever happen because I'm closing my PO box for reasons I talked about in a video called Trying to Make Videos on the LXR 380. What's this? 100-piece utility blade. That is 100 Stanley blades. That is amazing. I am never going to need another Stanley blade. Well, for a very, very long time. Thank you so much. I love it when people send me stuff like this because it's like that. Years. I'm covered. Years, literally. There is no note. Oh, I've got some gloves. Again, I now have, because a lot of people are very kind, I've got probably enough gloves set up there. I've got some black nitrile ones, I've got my classic orange, I've got some blue ones, and now I've got some of these which I think are, yeah, they're standard white latex. Again, for years to come, my hands are covered. Although, as you can see, I haven't put a pair on yet. Huge thanks to whoever sent me those bits. I have a feeling I know who it is, but there isn't a note this time. Big old front sprocket for the metalworks. That's quite a nice gold talon sprocket. Once that cleans up, that would actually make quite a cool little clock. As I say, I need to talk about the future of things I'm going to be doing and the networks and all sorts of stuff, but do not fear, the things that people have sent me are going to get used. So it just might take a bit longer than previously thought. One of the really difficult things about getting the DRZ back wheel on is the fact that we have two spacers to hold in place. You have to get everything lined up, you have to get the caliper on the slider in the frame, you have to get everything in place and hold it at the right height to get everything to come through. If you have someone else to help you lift the wheel into place, it really is very easy. If you're on your own, it is not. I'm hoping using the trolley jack to get the height right with this will mean that it will become easy. For those of you getting triggered saying, oh my god, I can't believe you're not cleaning it while it's like apart. The reason I'm not is because I'm planning to go green laning. It's going to get covered in filth. I do want to do some work to this bike, and I'll keep saying that. It's just ridiculous how long it's taken me to get to it, but that's life. I'm hoping to get on with that work relatively soon, but for now I just need to get the back wheel back on this bike so I can actually move stuff around again. Oh yeah, this is so much easier, the trolley jack. I've got these bits on. Now, anyway, what was I going to talk... Oh, spacers, I'm going to do that. What was I going to talk about while I was doing this? Oh yeah, Tyreweld. Interesting sort of discussion. I did that video where I used Tyreweld to fix this to get me home. There was lots of people came back with information and stuff regarding this, stories and things. There seems to be an underlying feeling by some people that Tyreweld damages your tyres to the point that once you've used it you can never use them again. The literature of Tyreweld themselves specifically says that that is not the case and it does zero damage to your tyres. I don't know what the truth of this is. I'm not here selling Tyreweld. I'm just sharing what's been said. It's interesting, the stories that sort of come about when you make videos like this. You hear all sorts of stuff. Now sometimes it's completely truthful and sometimes it's people taking a false positive, as it were, like something happens and they blame it on the Tyreweld, for instance, or something else when it's not actually the thing that caused the problem. Yeah, I'd like to know, what's your experience with that? My thinking is that why people have got that opinion is because when they take their tyre to a garage, the garage says, no, I'm not going to fix it, because basically it's disgusting inside. It's got all of the goop in there if it's a tubeless tyre. Even though, again, Tyreweld claim that it's water-based and can be washed out easily, so it's no problem to fix it. Maybe the people in the tyre places just don't want to do that. Or is it, as I say, the case that it does actually damage tyres? The suggestion is basically that by using it, you can't reuse the tyre because it degrades the tyre, and over time it will become unsafe, like it'll age fast or something. As I say, this is the first I've heard of this. None of the literature supports that, and I generally think when a company is as big as they are, if they're going to make a claim... No, actually, I was going to say that it would be truthful, but I'm not going to go with that because there's plenty of companies that make complete lies. So yeah, the question for you guys is, what's your thoughts on Tyreweld regarding damaging tyres long-term wise? Is it something you've heard of? Is it something you can... The thing is, yeah, you might have heard of it, but that doesn't mean it's true. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's said about things that just isn't true, and people just reparrot what they've heard before, and if you go back and back and back and back, you find it's someone who was completely wrong or a complete idiot. Because I think in the internet and the way things work in like 3 stages, you can have person 1 have an opinion, which could be an absolute ranting lunatic. As long as person 2 is accepting of ranting lunatic and believes their feelings, they then might be better at crossing the information over to someone else in a more normal way, who would then accept the rantings of a lunatic as something that seemed truthful because it came from someone who seemed more logical, if you know what I mean. Come on, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Trying not to have to adjust the adjuster, because the tension will still be right, obviously, because I haven't moved it. The other thing someone suggested in a comment was that Tyreweld was used on they said they had an alloy rim, and they suggested that the Tyreweld made, even though it was cleaned off by the garage who changed the Tyreweld caused all of the paint and stuff to come peeling and chipping off of his alloy and basically ruin the alloy. Is that a possibility? What is the ingredients of Tyreweld? My understanding of it is it's water-based, and as I say, this person might be completely genuine, this might have happened, but you'd think that if that was the case, lots and lots and lots of people would be coming forward saying, you know, Tyreweld destroyed my tyres, the company would be, or destroyed my rims, the company would be held accountable for that legally, and before you know it, they're not going anymore. Well, thank you, Monsieur Trolley Jack, that made that 10 times easier. And in the words of a great man, click. I've explained what these are, I don't know how many times, but people still ask me. These are skateboard wheel axle sliders, which you can make out of a piece of threaded rod, a couple of nuts, and some skateboard wheels. These literally say, you can't really see it very well, it says no fear on the inside. If you have a hollow axle, like this, super easy to do. Jake the Garden Snake has a video doing it. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention was the patch of the tyre. I did have a couple of comments from people saying, oh, you want to make sure you patch that tyre. It was already patched by that point because of the time it takes for a YouTube video to hit YouTube. It goes Patreon 3 days before it hits YouTube. For some reason, people don't realise that. Anyway, point being, yes, I did get it patched, of course. Because this is a tube tyre, technically I didn't need a patch to keep the air in. The reason I asked them to put a patch on it was because I don't want moisture getting inside the tyre and causing the nipples to rust and stuff like that. You just don't want moisture inside your tyres. That's possibly one of the reasons why Tyreweld could be a problem. If it's not cleaned out, it is water-based, and maybe that's allowing rust to form. But if they've cleaned it out properly, I guess it should be okay, but I don't know. And yes, it has only been patched on the inside wall, it's not been plugged. Yes, a plug would have been better, but it would also require making a bigger hole. I'm willing to take the risk, but best practice is probably to never use this tyre. Second best practice is probably to put a plug in it. Reality is, for my risk taking, I'm happy to put a small patch on it and stick a tube in it and be like, yeah, it's fine. What are some other things that came up that was interesting? Some people suggested goop or slime. I used to use slime in my push bike tyres, and it's basically a gooey liquid that you put inside your inner tubes, and like with Tyreweld, I think, does Tyreweld just go sticky whatever, or does it stay liquid and react with air so it like reseals itself if you get another puncture? Because that's the point of slime, is it's supposed to, I think it's only supposed to react once it hits air, but then it's there inside the tyre. How does that work? But anyway, it sits inside your wheel and it coats it and it like self-seals the tube. My experience on push bikes, it works to a point, but not great. I'm sure some people say something about off-balancing wheels because of the liquid being in there, but then I would have thought it would self-balance itself because, you know, liquids go to the least path of resistance, so it'll end up being a band on the outside. I don't know, how have you found those things? I think what I'm going to do for when I go green laning is I am going to pick up another can of Tyreweld, because even if it's just going to be used to get me out of that lane onto the main road to call recovery, even if it doesn't get me all the way home, I'd be happy with that. Sorry if I remember this wrong, I'm sure it's Phil 480, he was saying that he had a can of it under his bike seat and a very hot relay rectifier touched the can and it laid on it for a long time and it ended up exploding. I'm sure it was a disgusting mess. I'm also going to say now, before anyone says it, why didn't I get it plugged at the side of the road rather than using Tyreweld? Because it's a tubed tyre, you can't do that. I've done a video talking about tubed vs tubeless. Yes, it is really basic stuff, but it seems that some people don't get it because, well, they keep telling me to plug a tube tyre using a at the side of the road kit that will not work. I actually had someone sort of trying to criticise me for basically making a video that was too basic, and it was like, people don't know things. Everyone's got to learn stuff somewhere. So the most basic stuff can often be the most useful things. What do you think? God knows how many vloggers made a how to ride a motorcycle video. Something I should ask. Yes, actually I should ask this. Can you see this here? This missing paint, this bit of rust on the surface here. This wouldn't normally be rusty if you rode the bike every single day. You might have a bike with a piece of exposed metal here and it doesn't rust because your boot's constantly rubbing on it. Well, where I don't ride this all the time, rust is formed on the surface. I've cleaned off most of it, but I need to go over this frame, just clean up any little patches like this and repaint them. I've looked for getting paint for this frame colour, and basically the actual like named ones are really expensive. Does anyone know of a cheaper way of getting that colour, or should I just go to my local paint mixer and say, hey dude, can you please match that as a can of spray paint? To be fair, most of the rust spots, and they're only tiny ones, are like on the edges of welds and stuff, and I'm just going to use a little wire wheel to clean it all out, smooth it out, and just paint over the top of it. If it's not a perfect match, I don't really mind. I'm not going to try and hide it. But I would like this bit to be, you know, close. And I don't want to have to respray the whole thing. Yes, I am aware that the best thing I could do is to take the frame out of the bike, strip it completely, send it, get a powder coat, blah, 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 but I'm just saying that because, again, this is the internet, and when you say, oh yeah, I'd be interested in getting some new dust caps, somehow the internet gets you to, you need to buy an entire new bike, get a new family, get your kids adopted, and move to another country. I'm not even kidding, it can be like that sometimes. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think about the whole Tyreweld. I've just touched the bike when I've taken my gloves off, you fool! I'd love to know what you think of the whole Tyreweld situation, like future damage. Have you heard anything about it damaging tyres? Are you a professional tyre fitter? Is it just because it's so messy and you don't want to clean up afterwards? Is there a legality thing that, like, you know, you don't want to replace a tyre that's damaged? Because, as you know, we at the side of the road will happily plug tyres, and people will happily plug tyres and just leave it permanently until the tyre runs out. And many of you commented, I've done thousands of miles, even people just using Tyreweld. Like, yeah, I just left it and it was fine for thousands of miles. However, I think garages don't do it because of the legal problems of if the repair fails, they're at risk of getting it in the neck, legally, if you know what I mean. I have a little stone embedded. Finds out it's not a stone, it's a nail. Oh God, it's not, is it? Thankfully, that is less depth than the actual tread. This is the problem with green laning, where I go. It's a little shard of flint. And those shards can be small and they can be big. And if you're unlucky and your camera doesn't focus, there we go, that can go straight through your tyre. It's like razor blades. Christ. I guess I'll pick that up again. There might be another one there. I just don't want these getting driven deeper into the tyre and going through the inner tube. Yeah, there's another one. Little tiny slither of flint. And you see, I've got absolutely tons of tread left in this, which is why I wanted to keep it. Right, anyway, I was supposed to be ending this video. The beef is back. Let me know what you think about all the things I've talked in this video. Yes, I do realise I keep touching the bike with my hands. Huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. Smash the like button if you enjoy these sorts of videos. Bye-bye. End the damn video. If you enjoyed this video and the other content on the channel, please consider following the links in the description to show your support.